I don't even know where.
Hey, everyone. Hi, it's Keith, and I'm here with my good friend Leanne Hooper. This is, I think, the third time we've recorded a conversation together, and yeah, there were some things I know that we didn't talk about in the last two conversations that you had really felt like you were ready to talk about now. And I'm assuming this is related to your near-death experience, but I don't know. What are the things that you kind of felt like you were ready to talk about now, and why? Like, what is it that what's changed to make you want to feel like you want to talk about these things now?
I think the biggest thing is what happened to me was, like I had told you, that God had shown me a lot. And and I had said I'd written those things out and then put them away with the password. And after I watched the third person die and I could have said something and stopped it, it just ripped me to pieces. And I started shaking, and I started questioning those who had advised me that not speak of these things, because apparently that's unbiblical or whatever. I don't know, whatever. But the thing is, it was the worst thing that could have been done, to be honest. And I don't have any grievances towards those people. The thing is, you're just, you don't know.
Right.
We are so human, and that's my mistake. I have to take account for that, because I chose to put everything into human acknowledgement and human acceptance, rather than doing what I knew within the deepest of my soul to share, because what I have to share is beautiful. It's not bad. It's something that will change our freaking world if we would all recognize what we're doing right now.
Right.
So why would, and I started thinking about Noah, like the dude was making an ark knowing what was coming, and being made fun of and ridiculed and everything, but it never stopped him from talking. Right. And God gave him a clear vision of everything, and it happened. You know what I mean? So it's like, I'm watching these episodes happen, boom, 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 on the exact dates that I knew and experienced in my experience in the kingdom. And I'm going, I can't do this. I was in tears. I was grieving. I felt like I was going to rip through my damn skin. And if I wasn't going to physically die, then gosh, maybe I could make myself die, because I couldn't hold it.
Wow.
And I took myself, because I ended up having a very intense, heated discussion with the people who gave those advice, and it didn't work out very well for us. We all kind of basically did not give anybody grace, and we were really mean to each other. And I'll work in a we format. I will never disrespect anybody, because to me, everybody in my life has been important, and anything I see in someone else is only a reflection of myself. And if we don't start moving in a we and recognizing that, we're all screwed, So I'm not going to point fingers. There is no fingers to point except for at my own self, my own choosing and desires, and what I chose to speak or not speak. Right.
Yeah.
And so for me, I ended up escaping and going into my 41,000 acres of animal sanctuary, where my own little, volcanoes there and beautiful water, and not a single human being, where I couldn't get anyone speaking to my mind other than me and God.
Yeah.
And I literally sat in silence for days, just asked God, speak to me. I need to know from you, like, is this meant to be shared? And God said to me, would you be willing to die for what you know? And I said, yeah, I would. He said, if it could flip the world upside down, would you be willing to just say, okay, I'll go away? I said, man, I would go away just even for one of my own friends right now.
Right.
And I said, you already know that. I said, please heal them and take my life instead. I'm already a mess anyway. So,
yeah,
like, I'm like, they got value. They get hurt. I mean, I'm not really hurt. So, don't take them. Like, let me just take me. I've done those things many times in my prayers, so God's like, okay, you're right. And then he's like, well, then is it truth to not speak? I went, oh shit. Well, it hit me hard, because one of the things God really, really hit me when I died was that I was living a life of a lie, because I was teaching like a freaking preacher about bullshit, manipulation, and control. And I was following the suit of all the theologian bullshit we were all taught. And Excuse my language. I hope that wasn't
No, that's
offensive.
fine. No, go for it.
Sorry.
I don't
But
care.
I was just so, like I said to you, I was in that room when I first died, where it was that big door and little door, and that was hell for me, but there was so much more to it. I was seeing everything. Like, I was seeing my faults, and I had so much shame. And I was such a failure and who I really was. Like, when God showed me who I really was, you gotta imagine God calling me Ariel, and then speaks Isaiah 29 over there. It might just be something God puts in pillars and seeds and within us, and meant to rise up in certain seasons. So if you know that acknowledgement and you got that acknowledgement, the face to face with God, and yet you freaking still chose to walk in the opposite of it, holy, talk about shame.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, I couldn't rip my face from it. He was shouting at me, Ariel, you're not who you think you are, remove your face from your hands of shame. There was not just once that was spoken, it was like 70 times, 7 times, the whole earth shook, it was a long time, it was a long process.
Yeah.
And finally, finally looking in the face to face, and finally seeing in the mirror the lion that God's calling me is, and recognizing what this was, and all this trauma intensity that I lived through, and rejection, and knowing all this stuff. And then I went, holy shit, I know how not to be. I've faced everything of what we can do to humanity. Myself, I physically have faced everything that we can do to humanity. And I chose not to return it.
Yeah.
But I did return one thing. I continued to teach the lie that we've been trying to break for how many centuries. And I was like, holy crap, right?
Yeah.
So there I am in this mountain, and God's showing me all this. He's basically rerunning me through my entire experience, and taking me all the way to the tree of life, to the womb, to the ninth, to the 12th dimension. Like, I'm going, whoa, I'm like tripping out, but there's no one around. And all of a sudden I'm seeing these natives arise, and I'm starting to see the process of even what was the history of the land before me. And I went, and God's like, place your hands in the land and call out forth what the original design is. And he said, what is the seeds of the wrong direction of the frequencies that run? And I says, it's chaos. And he says, and what returns chaos to what it needs to be directly to in its original design? I said, love. And he says, how do you stop a world in chaos? I said, tell everyone to stop and rise up and hold hands together and realize there is no segregation. And then he's like, what's the, what is the actual cost? I'm like, your life.
Yeah.
And he says, what does the world move in? I'm like, what do I move in? I am.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, what is I am? I said, we, union, Trinity. He said, so why would you hold that back?
Yeah.
So I came out of that, came back, and I decided to sit down with everybody that's known me for 30 some odd years. And I said, I'm taking myself to court. You guys are my judges. And why are these things? Because this is my accusation, and here's where they came from. And I know you love them. So, and everyone was like, we always wondered why you wouldn't just share, as we even watched, because you gave us a couple of things. You told us a couple of things that would happen, and they did. So why would you hold anything else back? I was like, you're right. And then I went to therapy, signed myself up for that. Thought I better get a mental assessment, make sure I'm okay. And today the therapist is like, well, how do we even do this? I'm like, I don't know what to tell you. She goes, you kind of came into the office, already figured it out. I was like, I know, because you canceled your appointments because you were sick. And then she goes, and then you helped me through it. I was like, I know. She goes, so what were you originally coming in for? Trying to figure out if it was right for me to speak of what I learned to the rest of humanity or not, because it was tearing me apart watching people die.
Yeah.
And I said they were close and personal friends. I said, whether they would have listened to me, at least I could have felt okay by saying, hey, by the way, can you maybe not do this? It's not a good idea for you. Mm-hmm. I had this, experience. Remember, you saw me. My eyes aren't the same color. You already know I'm not the same person. So maybe could you just on that day not do this? I said I could have done that. And I didn't. and they're dead.
Yeah.
You know, so I live with that. So that's why, that's the whole deal. And after having, and then I even had like someone who's been like a papa to all these people and have known them since they were pretty much kids, came and flew out to see me and said, hey, you need to speak.
Yeah.
And I went, why? What makes you think that? And they said, because I remember you telling me that these fires that happened in America, when they would start and where they would be, and here they are. That says something. And you told me that a year ago.
Wow.
So it goes, I came out because I thought you got more.
Yeah.
And I just started crying. I said, I do.
Yeah.
And he goes, well, then why aren't you speaking? So here I am.
Yeah. So you're speaking, have you written some of these things down as well? Or are you mainly just right now talking about them, or a little bit of both?
I've written a lot of things down in song, but I also wrote my book. So in there, it quite opens and talks about the journey and my conversations with Trinity and the unfolding of what I learned, and the intensity of walking through your shadows and facing, you know, your shit.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, we don't get to point.
Mm-hmm.
This is the only pointing we got to do right here.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've got that all written in my book, which is finished. And so I'm just actually literally trying to get together $400 to finish off it. And then it's supposed to be published on the 27th.
Wow.
So I have a friend who designed the cover of it and stuff. So at least that part's done. The edit part's all edited now and all that. So
now,
yeah, there's a lot of everything's in there. So
what's the name? What's the name of the book?
Oh goodness. It's Awakening the Ancient Ones. I believe it was something like that. I had the titles on the book. I sent it to you.
But you sent it to me. I can pull it up.
Yeah, why don't you do that? I'm sorry. I got the short-term memory problem, you know?
Yeah, I
right
understand.
in front of you.
I do the same thing. People ask me stuff about a book that I wrote, and I'm like, well, where's that?
Right? You're like, wait a second. Did I actually write that?
Right.
Sometimes you just start going with the spirit, you know, even when I was reading my book, I was like, wow, holy crap. That was like, I already spoke of what I was going to do ahead of time. Dang, that's crazy. You know?
Right. Oh, I know I downloaded it. Hold on. Maybe it's, let me go one more place. But in the book, you talk about your experiences, and you're a lot more open with the kinds of things, like the conversation that you have with the Trinity and the things that were said. And so it's pretty eye-opening stuff.
I have a really, like, I mean, for me, you know, a lot of people, it's like, you know, they picture an image of what they feel God is or anything like that. But for me, it's not like that, you know, like I go right there. You know, and even people now, like, you know, it's funny because, okay, I was camping. Like, this is common. I mean, people are starting, when they're sitting beside me. I had this one girl who was drawing all these pictures, and I looked over and I'm like, oh my goodness, she's drawing what I see. And I said, hey, what is that? Oh, it's stuff I'm seeing. I don't know what to think about it.
Yeah.
I said, when I leave the room, does it kind of disappear? Yeah, actually, when you went and grabbed burgers, it was just gone. And then you came back and right there again. I said, yeah, it's me. I said, I guess you're seeing into my world. I said, not really my world. It's just the kingdom. It's the dimensions. You're seeing the parallels, the lines, you know, the frequencies.
Yeah.
And a lot of people are starting to say that. Like, even my friends, when I go camping, like, their kids come running up to me and start saying things that, you know, I'm already feeling God saying, you know, come on, oh, God, I heard God's whisper this or that. And so I don't have to even speak, just sitting around meditating or praying. And people around me seem to be picking up the essence of what it is I'm feeling within myself with prayer. So it's pretty beautiful. Like, the nice thing about that is you don't have to be the one who's getting acknowledged for that.
Yeah.
You know, it's just they're feeling it. Like, so, yeah.
Yeah. So a little bit, you just, you know, you talked a little bit about some of these things that originally you were afraid to talk about, or you had received a counsel from other people that you probably shouldn't talk about them. And but then you went through this process and realized that you think you really should speak about these things. What do you think? Like, so do me a favor, like just sort of like tell us again, what are these big things that you feel like that are going to shake people up, and the impact it's going to have on the world?
Well, I think if we look at life, like, I mean, you kind of delved into a bit of quantum physics and things like that, right?
Right.
And I mean, you can see how frequencies affect us, how our actions cause a reaction, and, everything, whether it's inside of our hearts or our minds or whatever, if it, it molds.
Yeah.
The responses even around us, right? Like, I mean, I think you come to that conclusion in walking,
yes.
Right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And so, I think about, like, okay, you can see it. You get it every day. I'm even starting to get it from your people too. But think about this, okay? Like, when you say, if you really started looking at everything and you removed all these religious mindsets and ideas and everything like that, right? And we just stopped everything, dropped everything, and just put one thing. Okay, what does Christ represent? What did the cross represent in completeness? What was that representation?
Are you asking now or what I was told it meant?
No, not what we're freaking told we were meant. You know the truth of what it meant. So what does that mean?
What the cross means?
Yeah, what does it mean? And what we comprehend in the Orthodox, ancient texts, the wells of the truth, like the union.
Yeah.
But what would you say? Like, I mean, come on.
Yeah. I mean, so
we don't get a golden ticket, right?
Sure.
We all got to go through so we have the cross.
Yeah.
And then we have the shadows. Though I walk through the shadow of darkness, I fear no evil, for thy rod and thy staff, they comfort me, right? Because why does thy rod and staff comfort us in the darkness and the shadows? That's our darkness. That's our shadows. That's the depth of ourselves.
Yeah.
Right. And so we go there because Christ went there. And who's there? Thy rod and thy staff, right?
Right.
And then he seats us at the table before our enemies, but we don't have enemies. They're just our illusion the things we created, what does that do when we create an illusion of lies? And belief is a negative frequency, a misdirected frequency, right?
Yes.
All right. So then what happens? We're in that rut. Some of us come out of it, some of us don't. But then truthfully with Christ, we then came what? Out to what? Into what?
Into truth and light and
oneness.
Yeah. Yeah.
And what is oneness? What is the highest frequencies anybody can actually freaking create in existence?
Yeah.
So here's something to picture. Have you ever seen frequencies, what they look like in each? So picture my head, like that's where our center of our frequencies come out from here, right? So our thoughts are very important. Our perceptions, heart, mind, soul, all of that connection, how it really connected or is it not, right?
Right.
Here's the love, here's the heart, it's the three, right? So picture this being our antennas being what emits those frequencies, okay? So think about Christ. Christ walked in the fullness of what?
Humanity.
Yes.
And love.
But like love, right?
Right.
Love. Christ did not walk in fear.
Right.
There's only two motions, two frequencies, misdirected is fear, connected is love.
Right. And you can't do both. You have to choose one.
You can't do both.
Yes.
Period. But we think so many of us think we get it. And then you're like, you're an idiot. No, we don't. We have to learn to go we, because if we do the we bubble, our pride will go down a little bit. We can recognize, okay, hang on. We are so fucked up. Okay, let's admit that. Okay, we got it. Okay, good. We do not put love in front of all things at all, because love never shuts a door. Love never segregates. Love literally would have not a single human being on the face of this planet hungry.
Right.
We have enough. Come on, we know we have enough.
Yes,
we know
we do.
people. We know plenty of people around us that could solve even just North America's problems. Okay,
Yes.
so we know that. So, but we don't. Why? Because we live in fear. Because
Yes.
we don't understand that we are immortal, eternal beings. We are
And
an
also,
immortal, eternal being in a machine having its human experience.
right. And it's also that we don't recognize that we are connected, that this
Right.
idea that whatever you've done to someone else, you've done it to me, whatever you've done to someone else, you've actually done it to yourself, because
Yeah.
there is no separation. There is no you and me, us and them. There's just us.
Right. So here's the thing. So picture this. Here's our frequencies. So fear frequencies are like this. You're not offending anybody with that frequency now, are you? You're not touching anyone. You're not in their zone. You're not in their space. Everything's going A-okay. You imagine if you're walking in the love frequency. Boom. It is so big that the purest in those frequencies can walk out and touch the dang soil and cause a mountain to move. Like you got Martin Luther King, for example. That dude's love frequency was so intense. Look at the freaking ripple he made, right?
Yeah.
Lincoln, look at the ripple he made. You know, you can go and pick these people. Muhammad, you pick out these people. Their frequencies are huge. But did those guys, like, man, their life was not easy.
Right.
The biggest in religion would rise up against them. They would call them rags or nothing and and
Yeah.
you know, Satanists or this, that. But they spoke of peace.
Mm-hmm.
They spoke of this frequency of love. Love offends.
Yes. I don't understand why, but it sure does.
Because you're in someone's bubble.
Yeah.
You are in someone's bubble.
Right. Yeah.
Because love doesn't, love is, right?
Yeah.
The frequency is so large.
Yeah.
So reality was that what God showed me was this. One, we were never sent from Eden. We left in shame.
Mm-hmm.
And we know within history and without, you just look at our history and our world, our planet, it's gone through these cycles and changes. We know it's not the same. So is there a mystery behind some of that? We've maybe not quite figured out. Maybe things that were meant to be risen, but we've allowed to be squashed because our frequencies are facing the wrong way. We're in chaos. Yeah. We're so busy right now. I mean, come on, there's a new prejudice every day. Now the newest one is vax versus unvax. Give me a damn break. I don't give a rip whether you got a vaccination or not. I don't even care if I don't care if any of the theories are true or not true. I don't give a rip, because you know what? What matters to me is that I love you. You're my brother or sister. And whether or not this is a good thing or a bad thing, I guess we're all going to find out anyways. But reality is this. There shouldn't be a line, and that's what we're doing. Yeah. And so, yeah, I think I have something valuable to share, because we're so concentrated on whether or not our biblical idea of the concept of Christ is good or not. You know, I had one of your friends come to me the other day telling me how they came in grace and mercy and had over 2,000 some odd whatever people standing with them, and that they're known as the grace people. And I said, okay. And then they tried to tell me I was a heretic at the same time. I said, you know, you just contradicted your own dang tongue, right? Like, you just insulted someone by saying your grace. I don't know where it says in grace, it says to go and insult your brother or sister that you don't even know. Right. And then you're trying to prove to me that I'm believing wrong when you are someone who's believing in faith. You don't and I said to him, have you ever been to the face of God? No, you can't do that. Really? Where does it say you can't be in the face to face with God? Right. Right. Okay. All right. Hey, welcome back. So if you notice, Leanne just appeared somewhere else. We lost connection for a second there, but we got it back. And I think we were trying to remember where we were. I think we were talking about how the idea of love, the love frequency, how everyone's all connected. And again, you said like God doesn't really care at all about our religious differences or theologies or any of those things, or whether you have the vaccine or not, or all these little things that we use to divide each other, and how none of that really matters. That what matters is love and connection. Yeah, that's it. It's a plain and simple thing, you know. And right now, if we paid attention to the amounts of fear that is being presented to us, I mean, they come in racism, they come in chaos, and it's, you know, makes people pick up arms, and that's not the way to fight. I mean, honestly, if you really want the world to change, if we really, really want to see the Eden be what is return, what is the truth of us recognizing everyone's beings. I mean, we look in Revelations. I mean, Revelations is truth. I mean, we will. Every tongue and every knee will confess. The recognition of that brings peace, but it's not like what we think. It's Christ rising within us because we are that incarnation, right? We are that, but we're not being that. And we can't say we are, not one of us. I can't. And I've been in the face to face with God. You want to know what? I cry every single freaking morning because I realize my dumb frailties. So dumb, like they are. Like we're supposed to be Christ to one another.
Yeah.
And we're not. Even us, Keith, even you, even me, even any of our best grace talkers out there. None of us are.
Yeah.
We are frail to the freaking bones, dry bones beyond. And like, to really comprehend, I mean, we have to understand the kingdom is so damn low. It's like your face is in the dirt till you can breathe. Have you ever been in a sweat?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay. Did you learn the secret of surviving a dang sweat is to put your face to the dirt and breathe through the dirt?
Yeah, well, I ended up there.
You do, right? And you're all of a sudden, wow, it's like an air conditioner down there.
Yeah.
Well, your face is in the dirt, man. You're like this. And you're breathing it in. Like I've been in one with chiefs where we were there for hours talking about the reconciliation, and now I look at the devastation in Canada with over 5,000 children. My question is, let's biopsy them, see how recent they are too, because let's just face it, there's been a lot of children going missing lately.
Yeah.
And as someone who works in the rescuing that sex trafficking, I'm going to say there's a lot of disgusting things going on.
Yeah.
But the thing is this, when you are in a sweat and it's so hot, and that's the reality, we're in this hot, burning fire, gnashing of teeth because we are under the lie. And that's exactly what we're doing. Look at us. Preachers want to preach about going to hell. Would you just look where you're at? How do you shout into the darkness with the light if you're in no darkness? Like we're just stupid. Yeah. We are.
Yeah.
We are ridiculously stupid, and we should all shut up. All of us preachers should shut the hell up because we don't know what we're talking about. We should kill the stage.
Yeah.
And until I see every homeless person, no matter what the heck they're injecting into their bodies, what are we doing judging that anyways? Have you seen their trauma?
Right.
Why aren't we healing their dang trauma?
Right.
What the heck is wrong with us? Like, I've been a wreck. I've been the person who's messed up on the mud, all those things. And I can tell you what I needed in all the things, the way I was raised. I've been the one person in trauma that knows what it's like to be electrocuted by their own dad, have a hit put on them by their own dad, have a mother who tried to suffocate you as a baby. I mean, there's just so much abuse. Like, there's not much that I haven't faced. And I can tell you that I could have become an ugly, ugly person. I could have done all those things. But I recognize that.
Yeah.
And it took me recognizing that I was in the same position that my own father and mother and my own brother and all those people who did these bad, even my grandfather wanted to sell me for sex, all those things. I had to recognize that I had the ability to be exactly as them. And unless I recognize that I would be as them. And the only thing that was going to keep me from being those things was to be, that face in the mud. Mm-hmm. And that even meant being stupid, because as a pastor, I took on, people accused me of stuff. And I just said, yeah, okay, I did it. And I never did. I lied.
Yeah.
I should have stood up and said, no, you want to know why they want to accuse me of this? Because I caught them trying to freaking have sex with someone outside of their wife. And I saw them in their office. That's why they're doing this. And then, 15 years later, they're going to jail for child sex trafficking. Oh, who was telling the truth? But I never told the truth. I just said, yeah, you know what? You're right. I did those things. And I just took the hit. Really dumb mistake.
Yeah.
And so I can't do that. I recognize that silence is just the same lie.
Yeah.
How many other people did those people hurt because I didn't speak? And here I am again. Why wouldn't I speak? If God's saying the only thing that's going to change this world is us to say, you know what, this chaos that everybody's doing, this control, this manipulation, this racism, these people that are even telling us that we have to do this, there is barely any of them here. And there's billions of us. And if we joined hands and we threw down our ideas, or even our theological ideas, and we went into one thing that mattered, if we really have it, it is finished. And why aren't we moving in that? Then it doesn't really matter what we think any of this says, does it? If it's finished. Does it really matter?
Yeah, no, you're right. I think you're right. And the thing is, it is such a simple thing. When you ask that question, what will it take, to change things? And it's, I just go back to that phrase, the world will not change until we change. Like until we really experience and embrace that transformation and walk it out. And it is a very simple thing on one level to understand it, once you can see it, okay, great, you see it. But then, then what it takes then is for you to live it out and walk it out. As you said, it's not easy. It's simple to understand it, right?
Ego death.
Yeah.
Our egos all need to just die, because our egos is what was created in the I section.
Yeah.
It is. It was the I. It was all the things that we perceived from what our parents taught us, from all those things. We weren't born like that. Right. We were born in truth.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, children are born in this innocence and simplicity, and they understand these things. And this is why Jesus is saying, the kingdom belongs to these little children, because they get it. And then they get programmed right by us to not see it.
And so, right. And so here's the thing, like, did you hear what you said? They got programmed by us.
Yeah.
So here's the thing that God made me realize. Man, you know what? This makes me cry every day. But I am the murderer. I am the liar. I am the thief. I am the adulterer. I am the chaos.
Yeah.
But I am also, by the divine, by the Elohim, by the finished work of the cross, I am kindness, I am joy, and I am grace, and I am mercy, and I am compassion, and I am absolutely nothing. You know what I mean? Like, we have to recognize we sit on so much pride, man. Like, all of us do, every one of us. I look at it every day, man. I was like sitting here dealing with stuff with my business, and I'm having to write these stupid, intense messages to try and get my shares all straightened out, because there's just some division that's happening. And I'm sitting here in tears, wishing there was no division, wishing this wasn't even happening, but I'm still having to be harsh. And then at the same time, I'm having, please do not entitle this in friendship. This is a business thing I have to do for the protection of a company. Like, please just comprehend this. Like, I just, I'm even willing to give you it all and walk away from it rather than take this away. But it's one or the other. Either I walk and you guys take it, or you give back and I continue to do. That was the two options. And I had to face these kinds of things, right? And so many things. And yet sit there in the face to face and go, holy crap. Part of me just wants to wring their necks out and go, what are you doing? We are acting like fools.
Yeah.
But then what would that do? Because it's not even ready to be heard. And that's the thing is like, I recognize right now that God, there's a lot of people ready to hear this. There's such a desperation right now. And I see it, I even had some dudes from the Marines contact me. You want to know what they told me? They're trained to know frequencies, and they completely comprehend that there is a chaos frequency. Now, what that entails, that's not for me to share, but we agree there's a chaos frequency. And our own Marines are pretty agree that the only thing is going to stop this is everybody drop their damn weapons and say, we ain't doing shit.
Right.
And we're going to all hold arms together, billions of us worldwide, every one of us. And we're not going to let you divide us anymore.
Yeah.
And we're going to be union, because we want truth to be what shines. And we're going to admit to our failures, and we're going to go, okay, we screwed up, people. But we're not going to live in with our faces, stuck in our hands of shame anymore.
Yeah.
We're going to see the light. We're going to let the veil be torn for once and stop putting it back over our dang eyes. We're going to let the rabbit hole go all the way down and see the truth of our beings. That we've never meant to been separated. And all this is like it's a car. Am I going to not hang out with you because you have a purple car? That's it, man. You got a purple car. I'm out of here.
Right.
Yes, we don't do that. That's the same with this. Right. I mean, come on. If you look at us, you want to know what the difference is between all of us is our blood types and the way they function and what kind of food we should have in our bodies or not, because those blood types require different types of fuel.
Right.
And if we all ate that way, we also would solve most of the overpopulation of harming animals and all this kind of stuff, because really there's only a small percentage of people that actually require that kind of meat.
Right.
Each blood type it's like a car, I'm not going to put gas into a diesel car.
Right.
But we do that. And we're doing that all over, which is why we have sickness. And we don't move in we move in an I, segregated. We used to be tribes.
Yeah.
We're not tribes anymore. We're stuck behind our screens teaching about how to be a tribe. We don't know how to.
Right. Yeah. It's funny because I watched this thing the other day. It was a really fascinating clip about tribalism and division and all this stuff. And they were talking about an experiment that they did. So for example, if they showed Asian people different faces and said, photographs of different faces, and they said, put these, in piles, faces that are trustworthy versus faces that are not trustworthy, right? So Asian people tend to put Asian looking faces into the trustworthy pile, and the ones that are not Asian looking, they put in the not trustworthy. But Black people do it, white people do it, right? In other words, these people look like me, and so they're trustworthy. But the other people that don't look like me, I don't trust them. But then they did the same experiment with the same faces, and because people had filled out a questionnaire ahead of time. So if they knew that a certain person was, let's say, a Yankees fan, some of the faces had Yankees caps, some of the faces had Boston Red Sox caps, and it didn't matter what race they were. And so now all of a sudden, the same people are going, oh, well, that's not an Asian face, but he's wearing a Yankees hat, so I trust that guy because I like the Yankees. And it was like, well, that's weird. So all of a sudden, they just applied a different filter, right? And then they kept switching. Then they would also do they would take people that were, conservative, same thing, different races of faces, and then say, who's trustworthy. But then some of them had like Obama pins and then some had, Trump hats. And the same thing. Well, if I'm a Trump supporter, I'm going to put the Trump people in the trustworthy pile because they're like me. And it's like, all that mattered was what was the most obvious sort of filter of the us, right? And then the them. And you could flip it and change it just depending on how you labeled or marked these different, pictures. And it was so fascinating to me. And it's like you're saying, it's like how arbitrary it is. And I wish we could take a step back from ourselves and see that and just see how stupid that is. Like, it doesn't mean anything. None of that means so dumb.
Right. And that's the thing, like, if you even look at some of the ways even Christ talked about how to deal with conflict, it's like step back, like, and we don't do that. We just go, let's go. Like we and how, this is the thing. Sometimes I wish I never had this experience because I don't get to do that. I'm blind to this. I'm inevitable, I know. So it's like, I can sit there and if I ever say like, well, I'm not like that, the moment I do that, God is going to rip me out of my dang body and bring me into the world where I see exactly where I'm doing that. And it's like, oh shit. No. And that's why I've just finally given up. I'm like, no, we are just so messed up because the reality is the moment I see anything and I think that's messed up, I'm seeing a reflection of something I'm doing myself.
Exactly. Yes. And so, it is. This is the way we behave, and we behave in ways that here's the thing. I think part of it is that a lot of it is unconscious. Like, we don't know we're doing it, right? We don't know. It's similar to like kind of like, Girard's whole thing about desires and stuff, mimetic desires and stuff. Same kind of thing where we do this, we all do it, but we don't see that we do it. We're unaware of it. And so it helps if somebody could say, hold up the mirror, show you that this is what people do. Everyone does it. Doesn't matter who you are. We all do it. And then you're aware of it. That can help you to break out of it, but it's not a guarantee, because you can just as quickly forget it and fall right back into the pattern,
man. Oh yeah,
yeah,
completely. Like that's why I said, man, I won't even start my day without the moment I open my eyes, the first thing I do is I do my Wim Hof breathing, and then I go and I do the Lord's Prayer and meditation, and I do the Beatitudes, and I just continue on. I'm in meditation sometimes for hours before I come out and even start my day. So,
yeah,
I'll wake up at 5 a.m. and just start, and it don't matter. Like today I had to start a day at 7 a.m. So then I was up early because I wanted to make sure I had my prayer and meditation, and or I'm just not going to function. Right. So
yeah,
for me, it's like I start and end my days that way. And I even do my day in between that way. Like I just try to consistently stay in a meditative prayer. I really don't do anything without asking God, is this okay today? You want me? Where do you want me today? What should I be doing? And sometimes he's like, I need you to just rest. I want you to work on this. I want you to do that. And then I just flow in that,
great. Yes.
Yeah. And, right now it seems I'm in a position of my body not letting me do very much, which is okay, which it seems that I'm just moving in different ways, and that's okay too.
Yeah.
But thing that I recognize is that if I wake up and I look in the mirror and I see my frailties every day, then the chances of me walking in that frailty is less likely than if I ignore that it exists. So if we recognize that we have the capability of being the yin and the yang, being the Satan or the Christ,
right,
and we recognize that we are entrapped in a world that is sending so many frequencies of chaos, that maybe it causes a disillusion even in our own minds, even in the strongest minds. Because if we don't start walking in a we matter and continuously staying in a meditative state, why aren't we all asking God, what should we do today? Why wouldn't we? If we're
right.
one,
Yeah,
if we're one in that union, and we truly preach and teach that, and that's our belief system, and then we really look at everything like, what does Christ really say? No Jew, no Gentile, no slave, no free.
yeah.
You're all my children.
Mm-hmm.
Clothe yourselves in love and rid yourselves of what those things were before and what they are now. Like, when people think it's like lust and all those things, it's not that. It's about the fact of recognizing that you are all those freaking things, but within the Trinity, you are just that one love, that one union. And what if we recognize that every action we do, if we seriously saw as each other as like Christ?
Yeah.
Would we really do most of the things we do?
Yeah. Yeah, I think you're right. It is. It's like going back to what you were saying at the beginning. Every day and every moment throughout the day, we are really making a choice, whether we realize it or not, to walk in either love or fear, in chaos or, love, or, and like it or not, it boils down to that, right? That's really what you're doing. You're either operating through the frequency of love or through the frequency of fear. Unfortunately, yeah, I think most of the time we're not operating in love. And
No.
that's why we're screwed up. And yeah.
And what is our true identity? It states that, we're in the I am, and the I am is in us, right?
Yeah.
We are in the image of God, and God is,
God is love.
Right?
Yeah.
But I don't know about you, man, but I don't think we're walking in that image, are we?
Yeah.
Like, I mean, if we were really walking in this image, even if come on, even if it was just a handful of us truly walking in this image, don't you think we would be causing some mass damage right now?
Yeah.
Like, I think we should be causing mass damage. I think that your community and whatever community I'm in, and a few others of us are in, that really no one should be without, because if we're really
Right. Right. That's what that means. That whole idea of shalom, and that concept of shalom is more than just peace. It's this idea that everyone in the community has enough. And until everyone has enough, no one has shalom. So shalom is something that's shared and collective in community, where we've made it about this private idea, right? My personal shalom, my personal peace. That's not at all what it's supposed to be about. It's supposed to be, and I've talked about this too, about how I noticed, like when Jesus talks about, he teaches them how to pray, and he's, it took me the longest time to notice this, that the Lord's Prayer is not, God, give me my daily bread. God, lead me, not into temptation. God,
no,
give
our
me.
Father,
It's our Father.
our
Give us ours. So my prayer is supposed to be for the community, for the recognition that we are all connected to God and to one another.
there you go.
Yeah.
There you go, right?
Yeah, it's such a huge,
Our
whoa.
Father who art in heaven.
Yeah.
Thy kingdom come, thy will be done. God's kingdom is the one union, the one breath. I mean, come on, the eye of the storm.
Yeah.
Like the completeness. I mean, if we think about here, instance, Romans 9:39, what does it say, right? It's the conclusion of the prophetic reference pointed to the words, the rock of the spirit identity of human life. In Messiah, God has placed his testimony of mankind's identity in front of their eyes. In Zion, the center of their religious forces, yet blinded their own efforts to justify themselves. That's the thing. We justify ourselves every day to create walls and segregation. And we sometimes even name them boundaries.
Right.
Come on.
Right.
Right. And they tripped over him, but those who recognize him by faith in the rock from which they were hewn are freed from the shame of their sense of failure and inferiority. What did I tell you? Every day I recognize the weakness we walk in. I recognize we don't get it. I recognize that we need to change. We need to be the rock. We need to be the union. That it doesn't need to be, this church versus that. That's a freaking building. Go freaking knock it down or fill it for the homeless so they have a place to sleep. What are you doing?
Right.
Stop filling the place full of teaching stuff and tell them to get their asses out there. They already know better. It's called feed. It's simple. Feed the hungry, clothe the naked, set the oppressed free. Our Father, thy kingdom come on earth as it is in heaven. That means that all needs are met.
Yeah.
That the love is over flooding. It's that, forgive thy debt.
Right. The same way you've been forgiven. Right? You're forgiven, you forgive others. Yes. It's give and take.
If we have the means to set another friend free, like for me, if I have the means, man, I'm like that to this day. For instance, I got some down payment at the place that would save my damn life and stop all this chaos right now. But I don't got 22 grand to pay for it, and it hasn't come. And I'm not gonna go in a coma in a month for a month out here just to hope to maybe put it on pause. I'm not doing that. I'm not gonna do that, and I'm not gonna go live in the hospital now either. Like whatever, it is what it is. If it works out, it works out. But you want to know what I've offered? Someone else wants to go do that. Hey man, go take the amount that I have. I'll sign it over to you because I can't make it. That's the kind of stuff we should all be doing. Going, wait a sec, hang on, you need this? It's sitting in my dang closets. I don't even need it. I won't even miss it today.
Yeah.
Because the truth is, we talk about being the incarnation of Christ. Do we even get it? I'm going to pray for you. My friend called me the other day and told me they were hungry and they didn't have anything for dinner. Now you can seriously tell me that none of us can solve that problem. And what do we do? Man, I'm going to pray for you that you get a job really soon. Screw off. Get them jerks over to your house and feed them, you idiot.
Right.
Or your friend says, hey man, I'm coming through town. I'm exhausted. Like, I just want to park in your driveway and just crash. I don't even need to come in your house. I know it's a COVID season. I'll just park in your driveway so I know I'm in a safe place. Let me have a sleep. Nah, man, that's not going to work for me. I don't know if family doesn't, you know what I mean? What are you doing?
Right.
Come on. You know, no one should be without. Every one of us have spare rooms. Every one of us have extra food sitting in the dang cupboard. And you want to hold on to it for tomorrow when you have it today. What if you don't wake up tomorrow? Then it's just going to rot.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's what we do.
Yes. Yeah. And that seems to be the pretty, consistent message that Jesus had for us, that all of that stuff, that whole idea of, Paul talks about it, that he makes a reference to the manna, in the Old Testament, right? About how when we're giving, what does he say? He references the phrase, though they that gathered too little did not have too, those who gathered little did not have too little, and those who gathered much did not have too much. And that phrase is from this idea of the manna, where because people knew that manna was going to fall every morning, right? So everyone wakes up every morning, everyone goes and gathers the manna. And so if that particular morning I got a whole bunch, and then my neighbor, it turns out, well, they only got a little bit. Well, I would freely share. Why? Because tomorrow I'm going to get more. Why hold on to it? It's stupid, right? Oh, you need, sure. I freely share it. Why? Because I really do trust that my Heavenly Father, who gave me what I have today, my daily bread today, is going to give me daily bread tomorrow. And maybe the way he does it is that, well, today I didn't have enough. So my neighbor says, oh, what do you need? Here you go. I'll share it with you. And then the next time it'll be because I've got a little extra, and someone goes, hey, I don't have enough. And I go, here you go. I share with you. But it only happens. That only happens if everybody involved truly believes that God provides daily bread. And I'm not afraid, again, because it's the frequency, right? If I'm operating the frequency of fear, then I want to hold on to everything and protect everything and store it away because I don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. But if I'm in the frequency of love, I'm like, oh, we're good. Because you know what? God's got my back. I'm okay. I can really share with you today because, well, maybe somebody else will share with me if I need it tomorrow. And I'm not worried about that.
Exactly. You know, it's funny, God just made sure I had no way but to comprehend that, because I recently go to apply for my passport. So I have my American passport because I need to get my Social Security changed over so that I can work in America because I'm American, but my American citizenship's been messed up all these years because my family's been withholding it from me. So finally, I got enough paperwork. I go in to go get my passport. And what do? They strip me of all my Canadian stuff and tell me I cannot even leave America. Meanwhile, I got zero Social Security and I'm healing with a body who can't just go work somewhere because my Social Security even says I can't just go work somewhere. Yeah. I can only make money within my own companies because that's acceptable, but my companies are startups and you know how that goes. It's you got to put money into it right now.
Oh, yeah.
Oh. So I'm sitting here going, wow, okay. Every day is literally, in God's hands. And in California, I don't even know what they're doing, but every month they give me money for groceries. It provides for all my groceries. Wow. But every month they get a new medical report. So every month they add another $150 to it. When I first got here, it was $150 a month they gave me in groceries. And now I'm at $360 something a month.
Wow. Awesome.
That's more groceries than I can handle.
Yeah, there you go.
But,
That's greght.
And they've set me up with everything free possibly you can have and do. Like my medical's all covered. And then I can go camping for free. So I can do a lot of the things I want to enjoy. And then, however, I don't even know half the time how I get gas, but I seem to, it works out. I make it to everything I need to make it to. But the thing is, I honestly don't even worry. Because I also recognize that tomorrow I may not wake up at this point, So what does worry do? Worry is stupid. Why would I worry when I already been in the face-to-face with God? I know who God is.
Right.
And if I'm supposed to exist today, then God will open every meal. And not only that, if we're really smart and we're really hungry and we don't have anything, go for a drive into the woods. There's lots of berries there and they taste pretty tasty. They work out well.
Right.
So
Yeah.
fishing rod, you go fishing.
That's right. Yes, there's always an option.
Yeah. No, I don't go a day without food. And I go days with starving, yes, because my body doesn't accept nutrients. So, but I eat every day.
Yeah.
And I never go without. And I would more than happy give anything off my shirt of my back if it helps someone else get ahead and be victorious in their life.
Yeah. I think, when you've gone through, long seasons, and Wendy and I have gone through long seasons where we were uncertain about our finances. We weren't sure where, we literally were living on daily bread. And that's happened a couple of times for us, and once for a year, and then the second time for a year and a half. And, as painful as that was on one level, on the other level, it was a wonderful school. I call it like going to school. Because in that school, I learned in ways I could never have read it from a book, never learned it from a lecture or a sermon. You start really understanding, wow, God really loves me. God really sees me. God really cares about me and my family. God is really able to provide my daily bread. I don't have to worry. I don't have to live in fear. And when you've gone through that a couple of times, I think it was, from my experience, it's only someone who has gone through that kind of stuff who has like true compassion for other people. Like I've seen homeless people share, food that I just gave them, and I know that they need it. I know that they just told me they were hungry, and then somebody else walks up and says, do you have any extra food? And I'm like, hey, I'm sorry, that's the last one. I don't have any more. And the person's like, oh, here you go. You know what? You can have mine. You go ahead and, and they give it away. And I'm like, holy moly. Why would they do that? Well, because they know what it is to be hungry. They know what it is to have nothing. And in some ways too, you also know the joy of sharing and giving. And that's a beautiful thing too.
It is. I mean, honestly, that's where we get to see the depths of our characters, is in those places,
Yeah.
And
absolutely. Well, Leanne, it is, I agree with you. I think it is the best message. I think to me, this is the beautiful gospel, this idea that, we're in Christ, Christ is in us, we're all connected to one another in ways that we can't even wrap our heads around. But if we could get it, you know what I mean? If we could get it ourselves, really get it ourselves, and help others really get it, I think this is really the only hope that we have, to turn things around.
it is, and it's interesting, but the Bible is a map in a sense, when we really uncover the ancient wells, and if you think about the one biggest mistake I would say Augustine did was remove, do not harm a child, do not sleep with a child, put in homosexual, and that was wrong.
Right.
Very, very freaking wrong.
That's exactly what we did.
Very wrong.
Yeah.
We removed the truth. What we do to a child, and even when we remove the truth of the kingdom from a child, we are doing that.
Yeah.
We are harming them. And the thing is, we got to recognize when Christ said, it's the faith of a child, those things were important, and how we needed to return to that innocence, because then it wasn't a doubt. We knew to be loved. Think about it. A child doesn't even think of a prejudice. They're taught it.
Right.
A child just loves. A child go up to a dirty person on the ground. A child will pick up poop and give it a hug, for crying out loud. So you know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
It's not like you want to do that, but I mean, let's face it. Come on. We've all had kids. We know some of the crazy things they do.
Yeah.
But like, we need to get back to the bare bones, the innocence, and we need to recognize that instead of seeing each other as somebody in fear, we need to get to that little children, and it's recognize that we need to forgive one another, for we know not what we do. And we need to unite, and we need to recognize this, that in the Bible, one of the maps, it says not only will we cry out, but the rocks and the trees will cry out.
Yeah.
Look at our world. You don't think they're crying out right now?
Yeah. Oh, yes. Yes. And the other part too is there's the verse in Romans where Paul says, all creation is groaning for something to happen. And it's not for Jesus to come back. What he says is all creation is groaning for the sons and daughters of God to be revealed. It's for us to wake up and recognize exactly what we're saying. If all humanity would wake up and recognize we are all already connected to Christ, and therefore we're all connected to one another. We're all brothers and sisters. We're all connected in these amazing ways. That's what all creation is groaning and waiting and yearning for humanity to wake up and get it.
If there's anything that I could leave, like say, I mean, I don't know what's going to happen with this, right? You know, who knows? Tomorrow my meds could work and life could flip around. It happens all the time with me. I seem to come out of so much craziness. It really is hard to be in my life because it makes me look like, no way, that person cannot be telling the truth. Well, screw you all. I'm all medically documented very well now.
Yeah.
It's very, very witness that I've died and come back more than once now too. So I'm not uncomfortable with standing in that, and I'm not uncomfortable with speaking when I speak, because you know what, you take what I talk, it's going to line up with the word, for crying out loud. Mm-hmm. And the thing is if there's anything that if anyone could hear, yes, please put your weapons down and stop your theological debates. Mm-hmm. And please just, I don't care, take a jackhammer to all your temples if you're not going to clothe and feed and help people not be homeless.
Yeah.
And stop. You want to know something? Some of those idiots that you want to sit there and you want to judge a homeless person on the street, but you want to know what? I've seen them pour more love. The person who's sitting there jabbing the heroin in their body because they're hurting from the trauma they experienced. I've seen them step in front of me and literally be willing to take a knife to themselves for my life. When my life's they already know that I've already come back and I already, still have an inoperable thing going on, but they were willing to step in front of even one of their own brothers who was just mentally losing it. Yeah. They wanted to jump out and grab me because they thought I was the person that first walked in the room, which I wasn't. I just kind of came in at the wrong time. But they did that. And that's what Christ wants us all to be as. So why are we judging the things that we are actually missing the boat on? Because they're being it.
Yeah.
It just doesn't look the way you think it should look.
Yeah.
It doesn't smell like roses to you.
Yeah.
But I don't know about you, but being in a low place never did smell like roses, did it?
No. Yeah.
So that's the thing. If I can leave any message, put your weapons down. Stop tripping out about your past. Forgive it. Recognize we all believed lies together. Recognize we all need to believe one truth and stop speaking of the finished work and yet hanging Christ on the cross every bloody day.
Yeah.
We do that to each other. The moment we harm each other, we're nailing Christ to the cross over and over and over again. And why?
Yeah.
We don't need to. For what? Love doesn't divide, and we are divided. So,
yeah.
If anything, man, if we could stop being a divide, that would be it. If we could be that love and see that we really, really have been already freed, but we just screwed up.
Yeah. Well, Leanne, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Thank you I feel honored that you let me be one of the people that tells your story, gives you a chance to tell this story and share it. So thank you. Thank you for this. Thank you for the reminder. And I do hope you get better very soon. I hope you stick around a long time.
It would be nice.
Yeah. We can have some more of these conversations in the future.
Yeah, it would be great.
Yeah. All right.
All right. Well, bless you, man. You take it easy. Thanks.
God bless. Bye-bye.